here. Still talking about grudges in marriage. And then once I read this, we're going to go on to number 3. Grudges in marriage. It says here, within marriage, resentment comes about at times when a marriage partner is left alone during a time of threat or harm. When a spouse feels not cared about. Now this next one, listen to this one. When repeated requests goes ignored. When repeated requests goes ignored. Talking about grudges in marriage. When destructive habits persist, when there is betrayal or disloyalty. Things that a loving spouse should never do, resentment is created. The foundation of the bond or connection is undermined by the violation of trust. How we get grudges. How we get grudges in our marriages. All right, let's go on to number 3. Number 3 says, nourishing the resentment or the grudge. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. But people do that. Sometimes people can do it unbeknownst. Don't even know that you are nourishing. So what I want to do is call it out. I want you to know tonight, if you don't know, what does it mean nourishing the resentment or the grudge? Anybody want to take a stab at it before I talk about it? What am I talking about? Nourishing. Now you in resentment. I'm resenting my mate for whatever reason, and now I'm nourishing that resentment.
Going back to that Rolodex of all the stuff that has already previously happened and pouring it in the pot with whatever is currently going on. So it's like, well, I was mad at you for this, but also last week you did this, and a year ago you did that. And I remember when we first started dating, that one girl did this, and you ain't say nothing.
So you began to recall things that's not even associated with the current offense. Things that's going on or that went on prior to, and since I'm mad at what you just did yesterday, let me talk about what you did 2 years ago.
Let me get my shovel, go in the backyard, and dig up all this old stuff. And I'm gonna put it on top of this new stuff, and it's just a big old pile of mess.
That's it. Nourishing, good job. Nourishing the resentment or the grudge. Let me read here. If not resolved in a timely fashion, one can begin to nourish the resentment. You begin to look for people to partner with you in on the resentment. You ever known anybody that called other people to help them out in the resentment? Okay, I'm mad at Monica. I'm resenting some things that happened a while back.
All the wrong people.
That's it. That's it. If they nourish in that resentment, and most of the time, they will. Most of the time. We like to talk to people that will agree. There you go. Right. We want to talk to people that will agree with us, no matter what it is. That's why, and I've heard pastors say this. Hey man, listen, I'm about to quote you now. Don't let me go to hell because you don't want to hurt my feelings. That's right. Haven't you said that, Pastor? And I echo the same thing. If I call you for some advice, what's going on, yeah, we might be cool, we might be boys, whatever. Don't agree with me when you know I'm dead wrong. When I'm just wrong. Sisters, call some of your other sisters on the phone. Hey, girl, I would have been left him. I'd have been gone. Because see, you just said to the partner that you called, I don't know, we gonna make it. You know, now this done happened. And it reminds me of what took place 3 years ago. It's very similar. You know what? I sometimes feel like I should just leave. I should just leave and just, I can do bad all by I can do bad all by myself. Girl, look, I'd have been gone. When he did that 3 years ago, I'd have been gone. So we partner with people that's going to agree. And when people agree, we nourishing now the resentment. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, like, me and Zach had this conversation like a couple of weeks ago. I have this friend, and I told him I had to tell myself, I was like, I had a conversation with her about you one time, because she was like, what's wrong? I was like, well, Zach did, and I get a little tense and tight about my husband, and like I called her one day, and I was irritated about different things. She was like, what does Zach do now? I was like, first of all, what you not gonna do? That means nothing. But I told Zach that was something that I did. I opened the door for her to make that assumption.
She was very comfortable with it.
Yeah, and I was a little bothered because she just automatically assumed.
Whose fault is that?
Yeah, that's my fault. I told her that, and that's what I was saying.
Nourishing. That's right. Looking for people to partner with that. Looking for people to partner that will aid in the resentment. Looking for people that will agree and justify why you should stay in this state of mind. Justify why you should stay in a state of mind of resentment. The resentful person will at times try to block their thoughts about it. The feelings may ease up for a short time, but when reminders, that's what I talked about a few moments ago, but when reminders occur, they experience intense feelings they had when the offense originally occurred. And the reminders is just like what Miss Ashley said. The reminders are the offense that took place, or what you said to me yesterday that I did not take kindly to, that really offended me. The reminder of that offense, it is reminding me of something that was very similar to what just took place yesterday that happened 3 years ago. That happened 5 years ago. So that's nourishing the resentment or nourishing the grudge. Resentment, grudges, and I'm about to go down to number 4. Resentment and grudges can consume not only a period of time, but resentment and grudges go unchecked, can consume your entire life. People can actually pass, can actually die, still in the frame mind of resentment, never gotten over it. There is a way out, but so many people become so used to living in a state of resentment. It's almost like that thing is alive to them. It's almost like that thing, I got to have it because I don't know no other way to function. Resentment. It's deep when it's coming to that. I'm talking to somebody. It may not be in here, but I'm talking to somebody. That's a deep-seated thing when the resentment is so deep within you, it takes a life of its own. You identify yourself with resentment. When things are going well, when things are going good, you begin to laugh. The resentment talk you out of it. Oh, this is too good to be true. I'm having too much fun right here.
Stop yourself.
Huh?
And to stop.
That's what I'm saying.
Having a good time.
Exactly.
I'm supposed to be mad.
I'm supposed to be mad. Exactly. That is true. That is true. Resentment will do that. You can't have a good time because resentment says you're not supposed to. And many a times we listen to that. We listen to that. And when the resentment is within the confines of marriage, man, you can live your entire life miserable because resentment has taken over. Resentment. Yes, ma'am. Did you have something?
Resentment is attached to a narcissistic personality.
That's in my notes.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Go on, though. Go on.
No, that's just that because resentment you're wrong, I didn't do anything wrong, you need to fix this, I'm mad at you because of what you did.
Victim.
Yeah, it's no self-check.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this little, I mean, it's a baby, and how you choose to handle it is what it's gonna be when it's an adult. And if you choose to like feed this in a negative way, then at its peak, I mean, you're not gonna be able to be successful in anything. And resentment also, to me, is kind of like a lack of effort, really. It's like having a nasty house. It's easy for you to just drop stuff and keep going because that's what you're used to, and you're not gonna stop and clean it up because that takes too much effort, and that's not as easy as just being like, well, there's another sock on the pile.
Good point. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Like Pastor has said before, those bad blueprints. Because sometimes a lot of families are raised up with resentment against another family, against other family members, against friends down the street, and you end up raising your kids the same way because of that resentment over something that they probably don't even, some of them, majority of them don't even remember what happened because majority of the time the other person, like you said, has already passed away. But they still hold on to resentment of that family. And that's what I have come in contact with a lot when it comes to resentment. It's the resentment of things that has happened in families or happened with different families or with, families and friends or families. Especially when it comes time for a funeral. Because you can feel the tension walking in a church.
Absolutely.
And know who liked each other in the family, who didn't like each other in the family, or who their family friend was or whatever. And that's where we are trying to break that generational curse, but we also sometimes feed it into our own children. Well, we don't like the Andersons, so we're not going to be with them. We don't like the Smiths because we don't want to, do this or do that, but when you go to the funeral, you can tell it.
Yeah.
You can really tell it. It's so tense.
Sure.
It's like, it makes you uncomfortable. It's like, what the word? But you can feel it.
And just to add to that, it's a form of bondage. There's no freedom in resentment. There's no freedom. There's no liberty in resentment. To hold resentment in your heart, and we're still talking about in marriages, to hold resentment in your heart for your spouse, to be angry, upset, bitter all the time, that's a form of bondage within the confounds of your marriage. To hold resentment.
You think you own it, but it actually owns you.
That's exactly right.
You can't even be happy in situations because resentment owns you.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. To let someone have that much power over you is debilitating.
It is.
And please don't let that person know they got that much power over you. Because you got some folks who have fun with having that much power over you. Oh, you see them in that laughing? Watch this. Girl, watch this. I'm just going to walk in and watch out. Watch it. They just walk in. Hey, everybody, walk out. You saw her. She turned apple red.
Yeah.
She just took control of your being. Just by walking in.
Absolutely. That is amazing.
Too much control.
Yes. I have heard people say, and a couple people coming to mind right now, just the presence. How does one feel when the presence of someone disturbs your countenance? The presence, I mean, not just somebody off the street. I'm talking about your mate. Somebody close to you. Your mate, in terms of what we're talking about. You having a good old time. I mean, you just chilling, having a good time. You just whatever, doing your thing. Blah, 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 blah. Having a good time, Mr. B. Ryan. And your mate walk up, and all of a sudden, your good time, it just turns upside down. And the mate didn't say nothing to you. Just the presence. Do y'all believe that can happen?
I've seen it. Let me tell you something so deep.
Hey.
Let me tell you something so deep. That I know some men who don't know how to be pleasurable or pleasing in the presence of their spouse. You get them outside of their spouse.
Different person.
You can't shut them up.
Mm.
But as soon as spouse come in the presence, they can't say that.
Mm.
But a different person, I've seen it where they can't enjoy the company of their own spouse.
Absolutely.
Now they can enjoy the company of others, whether male or female. Laugh, talk,
Absolutely.
giggle, have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But when that spouse is there, it's like
Yep.
something's been neglected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something ain't right.
Mm-hmm. We got about 10 minutes to talk about how can we fix it, though. Yeah. Let's talk about that. How can we fix it? Number 4, letting go of resentment. That's easier said than done. Letting go of resentment, killing the grudge. Let's talk about that. Letting go of resentment, killing the grudge. The offended spouse, the one that was offended, expresses him or herself in an unrestrained manner. I've been offended. Let's say I've been offended. Allow me to express myself to you in an unrestrained manner. What does that mean when we say an unrestrained manner?
Tell you how I really feel.
How? That's it. Where the rubber meets the road. How I really feel. I ain't pulling no punches. I'm not sugarcoating jack. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. An unrestrained manner. Let me express to you. I've been offended. I've been offended for a while. I've been offended for some years. Or I've been offended for a few days. But give me an opportunity to express to you unrestricted or unrestrained why I feel the way that I do. And please don't interrupt me. Do not interrupt me. Let me express it. Now, you allow me to express my feelings. Allow me to express it unrestrained. Now, the offending spouse. Now, I'm the one that was offended. The offending spouse renames his or herself L-U-E, Lou. I'm going to break that down in a second. The offending spouse, they seek forgiveness and renames him or herself Lou. What does Lou stand for? They rename themselves This is the offending spouse. Yeah, the offending spouse renames, I offended Monica. Now I done heard her. I done heard her tell me, unrestrained. She expressed herself, real talk, Miss Sandra. She expressed herself, what took place, why she's feeling this way. So now, since I was the one that provided the offense, I rename myself Lou. What does Lou mean? Very good. Say it again.
Listen.
Okay, y'all talking.
Listen, understand.
Explain.
Empathy.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Listen, understand.
All right. The offending spouse renames himself, hey, I got to make sure, uninterrupted, I'm listening. I'm listening not only with my ears, but I'm also listening with my heart. I'm listening. Look, you got my attention this time. I done jacked it up so many times, but this time, I'm really, really listening to you. Not only am I listening, I understand. I want to, and I'm letting you know, I don't want to mess it up. I'm letting you know, I want to understand how the offense affected you. I want to understand that. See, in all thy getting, the word says, get understanding. When you can understand a thing, I remember my mom, this noon, this fresh, this just dropped in my spirit. I remember, you know what I'm finna say, I think you do, I don't know. Anyway, but Miss Noon lived with us for like about 6 years, is that right? About 6 years, 5, 6 years. The beginning of that time, I did not understand, nor did I have knowledge in knowing why was it that she was beginning to be so forgetful. Because I was always used to her being very independent and on point. Whenever I went home to Pritchard, those of you that know Pritchard, Alabama, Mobile, Pritchard, she'd be on point, cooking, doing her thing. And then when she came to be with us, as time went on, I started noticing she would begin to forget little things. Like she might be cooking and leave the stove on, leave something on the stove. Or she done turn on the water and to take a shower, take a bath or whatever, and leave the water on. Turn on the light in a room, walk out the room and leave the light on. Just look out the door, something just to get some fresh air, leave the door unlocked, leave the door open. I did not understand what was going on until she was diagnosed. Before I understood, I was questioning what was happening. I was questioning what was going on because I was so used to her being on point, everything being on point. So I would ask her in love, Mama, you forgot to cut off the water. Oh, I did? Let me know I got it. I already did. It's okay. I got it. Well, once she was diagnosed, she was starting to have dementia. So in looking and researching, because I had some idea what that was, but I really got deep in it and started studying it and looking at it. Once a certain level of understanding took place, I was better able to deal with what was going on. It's the not knowing. So with our mates, why is it that you feeling a certain way? Why is it that you did what you did? When I can understand, and that comes with listening, when I can understand what took place, why you did what you did, why you said what you said, what happened 20 years ago, why did that happen? Since it triggered it, Ashley, I might as well bring it up anyway. You know, what happened? Understanding. And now, empathy means to identify with. Yes, I got to identify with, this is the spouse, the offending spouse. I got to identify with you as I listen to you. I got to identify. So I take on a new name. I'm the one that did the offense. I got to listen to you. I got to make sure I understand, and I got to show some empathy. Show some empathy. Identify with what's going on with the offended person. The next one, the offended spouse genuinely forgives the person who offended them. Genuinely forgives the person who offended them, but also through loving their own self. Also through loving their own self. Love yourself enough not to hold yourself hostage. I was saying that earlier. Love yourself enough not to hold yourself in bondage. Hold yourself hostage to what took place. Y'all ever knew of people or been in a situation where you have allowed offense to settle in, but the person, let's get outside of our marriages for a moment. This could be a friend, a childhood friend, somebody on our job, anybody. They have offended you and you feeling some kind of way. It's kind of affecting you, but when you look at them, they having a good time. They smiling. They They ain't studying you. But you have held yourself hostage worrying about something that someone else has let go. In many instances, the person that provided the offense, that actually did the offense, in many instances, First Lady, they can more easily let stuff. That's just like, Pastor, if you hit Zach, tap Zach on the head with a hammer. Tap. Just a little tap.
He's gonna hurt way longer than me.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. I'm sure he would be offended. Okay.
He'd be confused.
The pain of the tap would feel, the pain of the tap, Zach would feel much, much greater intensity of the tap than you. Therefore, you probably would be able to get over the tap a lot faster than Zach.
Easily. If I shot you,
Okay.
my recovery time from shooting you is a lot faster than your recovery time from getting shot.
Exactly. And that's my point. That's my point.
I'm like, drop the gun. I'm straight. I'm my bad.
Yeah, I'm
You
bleeding
need an
everywhere.
ambulance. You need nurses. You need IV. You need surgery. You got to go to rehab.
Absolutely.
You got to learn how to walk again, spinal cord. And I'm straight. I've been straight.
That's right. So when I look at Pastor,
You- I dare we have fun. And he gonna be sick.
this wheelchair have a third feet on it. No, but when I look at him, he all out on Facebook having a good time. And here I am, I'm laid up, looking crazy. So he has quickly gotten over it. Whereas me, I'm the offended one, I'm stewing. I'm stewing over it. But eventually, I have got to allow that thing, I have eventually got to let it go. Eventually, because it will consume me. It will consume me. So lastly, in closing, we have the offended spouse. You are offended. If you are an offended spouse on Facebook, if you are an offended spouse, you got to redirect your focus. Redirect your focus. Take your focus off of the one that wronged you. Take your focus off of the one that wronged you and put the focus on healing your heart, healing yourself. The person that offended you, if they don't know Christ, the chances of them being pricked, the chances of them, their spirit man being pricked to come back and apologize and try to make it right, the chances of that happening is slim. It is. It's slim. So while that person is having a good time after Pastor done shot somebody, no, look, Pastor ain't shot nobody now. I'm just using that example. Okay. While so-and-so is having a good time, okay, having a good time. I was only joking. Let me put that out there right now. I was only kidding. But anyway, while that person is having a good time, I lost my train of thought, but it's going to come back. The one that was offended, that person, the one that did the offense, if they don't know Christ, the chances of them coming to me to apologize is slim to none. That's why I got to refocus. I got to refocus my energy on me. I got to deal with me. If my spouse cannot help me in repairing myself, getting me together, I have got to. David said, I encouraged myself. Sometimes you have to do that. You have to encourage yourself. Questions, comments? Questions, comments? Yes.